Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey. And I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing in today's show is Stage Theme 1 from the game Tom and Jerry, the ultimate game of cat and mouse. It was composed by Geoff Follin. Before we get into the amazing music of the show today, I wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about some mistakes that I've made in the last episode of the show. For starters, it was brought to my attention that Kenta Nagata composed the music for Mario Kart Tour, which that Athens Dash track was from, or at least it was originally composed by Kenta Nagata. And that was brought to my attention by Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy podcast. So thank you for the information, Ed. And it was also brought to my attention from Pocket Ellery that the Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz track, Smooth Sherbet, was actually composed by Hideki Naganuma, which really explains a lot of things. And that for whatever reason, he was uncredited in the original soundtrack, but was credited in Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD, even with a different title, and that it was the only track from the original to make it to the HD remake due to licensing issues. So we wound up having a double dose of Hideki Naganuma on the last show, and to make up for all that, the track that I'm going to play next is a Hideki Naganuma composed piece of music. This time coming from Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, this is The People.
To the max. push me to the max.
That track that you just listened to, that was The People from the game Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, and it was composed by Hideki Naganuma. That track was really cool, and the game itself is pretty fun. I haven't played too much of it, but if you like Jet Set Radio, then you would definitely like Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. It definitely goes for the same style and vibe as that game, and the soundtrack is really good too. However, I would have liked to have more Hideki Naganuma on the soundtrack. He's only contributed 3 tracks to it, and all 3 of them are really good, including this track. Somebody on the YouTube video that I watched for this song pointed out that it was very similar to his track Concept of Love from Jet Set Radio Future, and honestly, I could hear it. I'm thinking it's about time to move on to our next track. And we're going to go for something quite a bit different. This is coming from Quake 2. The track is Operation Overlord, and this was composed by Sonic Mayhem. That rocking track that you just listened to, that was Operation Overlord from the game Quake 2, and it was composed by Sonic Mayhem. Quake 2 recently came out with a remaster, and I got to play it for the first time ever. And I've been really enjoying it. It's a pretty good game. Would I say that it's better than the first Quake? Not really. But one area that I think Quake 2 does a lot better than the first Quake is the soundtrack. So I think tracks like Operation Overlord, it's really in your face and it just gets your blood pumping and keeps you very motivated as you're mowing down the enemies called the Strogg. And if you wanted to hear more Quake music and even more in-depth information about Quake music, I definitely recommend you guys check out the VG Embassy episode that was focused on the Quake series. We're now going to move on to our listener request for the episode, this time coming from Chris Murray, and he wanted me to play the track Encounter from the game Sea of Stars, and it was composed by Eric W. Brown, also known as Rainbow Dragon Eyes. That track that you just heard, that was Encounter from the game Sea of Stars. It was composed by Eric W. Brown, and this was requested by Chris Murray. So thank you, Chris, for that request. I have been really loving Sea of Stars. And that's a real good thing, too, because I was a backer of the Kickstarter for the game. And the game itself is very much a throwback to Chrono Trigger with its battle system and the overall style of the game. Well, maybe not so much the style, but just you get the vibe of Chrono Trigger. And what's really cool is the game takes place hundreds and hundreds of years before The Messenger, which is another game that I really loved. And it's a little hard to compare the soundtrack of this to The Messenger. I mean, they both go for very different things. And I'm just not quite ready to say if I like this more than The Messenger or just almost as much as The Messenger. But I could definitely say that this was a pretty amazing track, and I want to thank Chris Murray once again for requesting it. I think we're going to dial things down quite a bit with this next track, coming from Spyro, Enter the Dragonfly. This is Dragon Realms, and it was composed by Stewart Copeland. That track that you just heard, that was Dragon Realms from the game Spyro, Enter the Dragonfly, and it was composed by Stewart Copeland. And that's going to just about do it for the show today. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and I'm also on a brand new platform called TerraPlayer, which you could also find a handful of other video game music podcasts on there. I definitely recommend checking that out. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com, and you could also check us out on X at vgmjourney. We also have a Discord server for the show, which I will provide a link for that in the show notes, where you could hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, music, and even look at some cool art. We're also going to play things out with one more track. And to give you a heads up, it's kind of a lengthy one, but it is really good. And that is the final fight from the game Turrican 2, and it was composed by Huelsbeck. Have a good one, everyone.